Right. Good morning and welcome to today's GIS Day celebration. My name is Evans Arthur. I'll be your moderator. This GIS Day is actually under the theme Empowering Ghana's Green Economy through GIS. As part of Esri and then as a Esri business partner, silver tier partner, we annually put this together every year to commemorate this particular day and then also celebrate GIS. This year, we are not only celebrating GIS, we are also commemorating the 25 year of excellence GIS delivery by Esri, as we are partners too. So today, we as a partner also have a corporate social responsibility program that we do annually. So we have actually fused these two together, and then we're actually going to make it a GIS Day and a Spatial Thinking campaign, which seeks to explain or teach or train students from the second cycle education on how the use of GIS tools and its applications. So today, since we are a business partner to Esri, we would like to take the voice of the president of Esri, Jack Danjamond, voice before we take off. Please.
Join me and my colleagues in the 25th annual GIS Day celebration that's coming up. Look, 25 years ago, inspired in part by Ralph Nader and another group of people, we started this celebration event. And the whole purpose was to highlight the great work that GIS professionals are doing around the world. It was about having an open house, sharing with other people in your organization, sharing with your community, even sharing with kids in school, the power of geography and geographic thinking, and of course, GIS. And of course, the work that you do. So this is going to be a wonderful event. Help me celebrate this, and let's help educate the world to the transformational power that all of you are up to in making a difference with maps and spatial thinking. I'll be looking for your participation. See you shortly.
Thank you, Jack. Jack once said, GIS is a technology that can be fundamentally changed how we understand and manage the world. This man has been in this business for quite a long time, and today we celebrate 25 years of GIS technology existence. Moving on, we would like to take our first speaker, who is going to actually speak on how AccuGeospatial as a company have been able to contribute to the Ghana's green economy, what we've been able to do, what we do, what we've been able to contribute as far as this economy is concerned. On that, we'll be having our very own Marian Techimensen, who is now the current commercial director of AccuGeospatial, to speak to us on how we as AccuGeospatial are able to empower our green economy with our delivery through GIS. Marian, over.
Thank you very much, Evans. GIS professionals, GIS enthusiasts, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your location. I am honored to give the keynote address for this occasion. GIS Day has brought us all together and given us the opportunity to share the amazing work we are doing with GIS technology. The theme for our GIS Day celebration this year is Spatial Thinking, Empowering Ghana's Green Economy through GIS. At AccuGeospatial, we believe GIS is a tool that can be used to grow and sustain our green economy. And as such, we encourage our clients to understand and embrace GIS in their work. On this day, I would like to highlight our contribution to empowering Ghana's green economy. Cocoa is a major contributor to Ghana's economy. However, deforestation is one of the biggest risks in the sector. Over the years, we have supported licensed buying companies, that is LBCs, cocoa cooperatives, and chocolate producers by deploying GIS solutions to implement a cocoa traceability system. Cocoa traceability is essential for tracking cocoa beans from the farm to the consumer, and then guaranteeing the transparency and accountability throughout the cocoa supply chain. In the implementation of such projects, farms are mapped and data on the ownership of these farms are collected. With the power of GIS, farmers now know the exact sizes of their farms. LBCs can detect farms that are located in forest reserves or deforested areas. This also helps in their certification process. AccuGeospatial has successfully implemented projects such as these in key cocoa growing regions across the country. Moving away from the cocoa sector, we have also supported the telecommunications industry by deploying GIS tools for geomarketing analysis and geodemographics and spatial modeling. I must admit that we have deployed solutions in a number of industries, including GIS for census enumeration and redemarcation, GIS for paperless plots and grid mapping. We've also deployed GIS solutions for monitoring and evaluation. Not only do we deploy these solutions, we also train the end users on how to use our solution. From the success stories shared, it is evident that GIS solutions present endless opportunities and cut across industries. I would like to end here by saying that let us all embrace GIS in our work. On behalf of the AccuGeospatial team and our technology partners, that is Esri and Handheld, I welcome you all to our virtual GIS Day celebration. Please stay with us. Thank you for your audience and happy GIS Day to us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Marian, for that introduction. I would like to remind us all that we can share our names, our institutions, our emails, have a chat box while the presentations are ongoing. And again, this particular event is being streamed live on YouTube. So we have some audience also watching us from YouTube in that regard. Our next presentation is on leveraging GIS technology to enhance compliance and monitoring of the EODR. And in doing that, you definitely have to go to the regulators or those enforcers of these regulations. So we actually have someone who has worked in the agriculture and certification industry for about 14 years and holds a master's degree in food quality management and bachelor's degree in agribusiness. She has also worked with smallholder farmers as a trainer on the UTZ standards. As an auditor of UTZ, RA, and a global GAP, 4C, and other international standards, and then the consultant in the fruits and vegetable industry in Ghana. Her auditing work in the Eastern, Western, and the Central Africa regions, according to her excellent opportunity to interact with cooperatives, estates, farms, processors, etc. She's passionate about training producers to have the right mindsets for farming and adopting good farming techniques and use of digital tools for improved livelihoods. Her journey in Rainforest Alliance began as a manager, certification partner, support, where she acted as a point of contact for certification and took charge in rolling out the RA's 2020 standard in Ghana and then provided support in Nigeria. As a senior manager in training for Rainforest Alliance now, our resource person coordinates training for producers, ATNs, association, That's associate trainer networks, other RA staff in Africa, 18 countries actually, working closely with senior regional directors, country training staff, and other departments in training. When she's not working, she delights in cooking and gardening, meeting new people, and keeping fit. Ladies and gentlemen, our resource person is none other than Leslie Ejapon of Rainforest Alliance. Oh, Leslie.
Thank you very much, Evans, and very happy to. Please, are you able to hear me?
Loud and clear. Thank you.
Great. Very happy to be here today. I'm so excited. Rainforest Alliance, we have had some interaction with AccuGeospatial, and I feel honored to be here to do this presentation. So I would, if you'd permit me, I would kindly share my screen, and then we can go on. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen, please?
The screen is on. Yes.
Okay, great. So I have been asked to speak on the topic leveraging GIS technology to enhance compliance and monitoring of EU GR. I am Leslie Ejapon, the Senior Manager Training Africa for Rainforest Alliance. So let me talk a little bit about Rainforest Alliance and what we do. So in 1987, our founder, and I have had the opportunity to meet him, Daniel, started the Rainforest Alliance, the idea that there should be a voice to help people, plants, and nature to interact, right? So this started in 1987, and we are happy about what we have seen over the years. Now, today, our global reach, okay, so our global reach, we are in worldwide amongst the largest farm to consumer standard in the world. And looking at the statistics, we have farmer and workers on certified farms. We have, 5.7 million hectares of certified farmlands. We are working with 76,100 companies. We are working with products with the seal, a lot of products with the seal. We have programs, and we have 62 countries that we are working in with projects, and we have coalitions and alliance with a lot. Basically, what we do, we have grouped them into two. So we have our work on certification, which today we'll dive a little bit into it, and that is where we are going to focus our discussion on. And here on our certification, after you have gone through our certification process and you are audited and you are due, you receive our seal on your products. And we also have programs. So we are running a lot of landscape programs. We are running programs on climate change, on child labor, and quite a number of programs. For our crops, we are certified all these crops and counting, right? But in Ghana, we have cocoa, we have fruits, we have pineapple, we have passion, we have banana, and then we have a juice factory also certified. And we have more than about 120 certificate holders. Certificate holders these are the farmer groups or the companies that we are working with in Ghana. Our global reach, again, we have 46% of world cocoa production is Rainforest Alliance. 20% of world coffee production is Rainforest Alliance. We are working with about 42,000 plus products carrying the seal in 170 countries worldwide. So we are spread, and our seal is found on a lot of products, about in about 170. And maybe from now onwards, when you buy Kit Kats, you buy some chocolates, look at it, banana, you might see the frog on it, the seal on it. My slide wants to move. Okay, so let's look at how then our certification how it works. So farmers or farmer group or companies choose to join our certification program. We provide them support, resources, and training on improving social, environmental, and management practices. Then the farmers adopt more sustainable practices in line with our standard. Then an independent third-party auditors assess whether these farms meet our program's sustainability requirements. And if it's a yes or it's a take, then the farmers receive certification. So we give them license, we give them certificates, and the license is able to allow them to trade on our platform with their buyers wherever they are in the world. And I have shaded the farmers adopt more sustainable practices in line with the standard, because this is where we're going to focus. And it is very important that farmers, we support them, and we are also ensure that they comply so that they can trade with our seal. Yeah. So overview of EUGR. You are GIS team, so I know you know a lot about GIS, but let's look at the overview of EUGR and the role of GIS in compliance, monitoring and ensuring compliance. So EU came up, they went to EU Parliament, and they said that if you are sending any produce to EU markets or any of the European countries, or you are lifting a crop or a product from their country to another, it has to be EUGR certified. And so they outlined a number of regulations that all would have to comply with. Yeah, the objective is to fight against deforestation and forest degradation by reducing their contribution of consumption in the EU. And so companies were obligated. So all companies obligated who are placing or who are selling the relevant products on the EU markets or export them from EU. So in Ghana, we have a lot of our cocoa going to the EU market, right? So the crop cocoa then becomes a crop that we have to make sure that it is EUGR compliant, right? And if you look at the regulations, we group them into two, right? The mandatory due diligence, and where it's saying that products must have a negligible risk of deforestation and be produced in accordance with relevant legislation of the country production, right? So what we are saying is that these crops must not be cropped in protected areas or in forests, right? They must have a negligible risk. And then the other part is the strict traceability requirements, where geographic coordinates, so we call it GPS coordinates, of all plots of land where the products were produced, so your farm or wherever it was produced, must be provided for each batch of shipments of products. So in effect, EUGR compliance is not directly to the farmer, for the farmer, but then it's for the company that is, so our companies that are shipping it into the EU market. But these companies can only get the data they need if our farmers comply with this and provide them with the data, because these companies are not the ones, right? And so they need, right? And so, and here we are looking at the mandate source above 4 hectares. And if you look at these two, you can see that GIS play a very key role in complying with this regulation, because the first one, you see that you should not be seen in a deforested area, right? Or forested area. You should not be seen in a forest. The second one, you see that you should have coordinates of your farm or polygons of your farm. So all these GIS becomes very crucial in attaining this. So now let's talk about, we'll break this session into two. We are just looking at the ensuring compliance, and then later we'll look at monitoring compliance, what Rainforest Alliance we do, right? So ensuring compliance, farms are not to be found in protected areas or forests, which I've talked about. And here we make sure that our farmers provide the GPS coordinates of all their plots, and then also polygons of those that are 4 hectares and more. You see the EU GIS was talking about more than 4, but we pick coordinates for 4 and more, right? Then identify all plots of the certified crop. So it's the responsibility of the group or the company or the farmer group or the FBO to identify all the plots, to know each farmer's plot, where is it located. And this also is done with GPS coordinates and or polygon, right? Then also polygons for 4 hectares and more are supposed to be provided. Now, I want to give you an overview of the cocoa regions and the forest. Now, if you look at the map, there's a map of the cocoa region. So we are found in the Bono East, in the Oti region, in Western North, in Central, in Ashanti, in Eastern region. And I've overlaid it with the forest reserves. And the greens are the forest. So you see that in the cocoa regions, there are quite a number of forests, right? Protected areas and a lot of forests dispersed. And then you can see the cocoa growing regions. So what it means is that there's a possibility that some of our farms could be closer to a protected area or closer to a forest or could be in a forest, right? So this is where the risk is, which makes it very, very important if you want to make sure that Ghana complies with EUGL and our cocoa is not sourced from forested areas. Then we see this map is showing us that, hey, we need to have a look at it. We need to see what we need to do, because already in the cocoa regions, we are seeing a lot of forest around. And this we do through our certification in Africa Cocoa Fund. So certification, the companies have to ensure compliance. And Rainforest Alliance also, we also make money available to support some of our certificate holders to be able to do some of these things. And that is where we had a good collaboration with AccuGeospatial, where they supported some of our certificate holders on the mapping and having a database and polygons and so on and so forth. Yeah. In the monitoring, Rainforest Alliance, we have a geodata validation. We have a system, we call it, it's a platform, a digital platform. We call it Rainforest Alliance Certification Platform, which is called RACP. What is that? Is that is able to, anytime a group wants to have an audit, they would send in their group member registry, and then they would have to send in their polygons and their GPS coordinates per plots. It started with the largest farm, right, per plot. And then what RACP does is that it's able to detect inconsistency in the polygons of our certificate holders. That's a siege. Yeah, so it's able to look at invalid geometry, such as self-intersecting, overlaps, multiple GPS points in a polygon, location errors, etc. It's able also to see geodata location in forests, in towns, and in roads. And then the percentage polygons loaded through a count, right, on the platform. And then we are able to alert CH on good and bad polygons by generating an error test. So this is what we do to monitor. So we don't only say, go comply with it, but we also have a system in place to be able to monitor to see that they are complying, yeah, so that we are sure that this whatever information our farmers are giving to the companies, and that is what the EU wants, right? A due diligence statement. We know that this is able to suffice in the EU regulations. And this, we actually call it our EUDR offerings, where farmers or companies are able to opt in on our platform and say, hey, I want to use your system to help me to give due diligence data to EU, right? And if you are a certificate holder, we roll you on and you are able to comply with others, and then our auditors will come in and check and make sure that you are in compliance. Then after that, you can give them data, due diligence data to your company. What we must say is that we don't determine that a company is EUDR compliant, because EUDR is not our standard, but then we give you the data to be able to show to EU, that's the due diligence data, to be able to show to EU that this is what I have done for compliance. So on the data risk assessment on polygons, RACP can assess the polygons based on risk associated with tree cover loss, because we are also encouraging shade trees, right? So if we see tree cover loss, then we are able to say, okay, let's get closer. Let's know, is it that you have harvested trees, or you have degraded the forest to be able to plant your cocoa? So it gives us the pointers and the red flags, and we are able to follow through. It also helps us to see encroachments in forestry, and we go beyond. EUGR is looking at 2020, but in our standard, we are rather looking at no encroachment from 2014, and then of course placements in water and that. So I just want to show you some of them, some of the pictures using an RACP to be able to capture. And you see here, these are the points that we receive from farmers, and we are able to know, for example, where this farm is located. And this is a GPS point. GPS points of GMR that has deviated and located in mining sites, and some even on the road, right? But for GIS, it becomes very difficult to see where these points are located. So GIS is very important, right? Because then it helps you to know that where exactly the point is. And we'll even go beyond point to polygons, right? Where you are able to see where exactly is this. And it helps you to know whether the farmer is in compliance or not. These are all examples. So these are captured from the group member registry. And after we run the analysis, we are able to know. So here you have the farmer's ID, you have the latitude, the longitude, the name, and so on and so forth. And here also you see GPS points pinned in forest, in non-cocoa growing area. And also sometimes you see them in farm towns. Sometimes you see the points in another country, in the ocean, So the GIS is very crucial for us, and we have deployed it. From the time we started deploying it and using it, it has really helped, because sometimes out of the fault of no one, it could be a mistake. And certificate holders, we are able to give them feedback and say, hey, these are the points that have issues, and they are able to get to us back and be able to work on them. So I mean, there's an overview. So you see points in forests. The green is the forest. You see points in forest. Sometimes you even see the polygons overlapping, right? And through GIS and through our analysis, we are able to see all this. And usually when this happens, we go back to the certificate holder, the group or the farmer group, and say, this is what we have. We can't work with this. Then the person, if it's a mistake, he has to correct it. If the farmer is in the protected area, then that farmer cannot be certified, because we don't want to source cocoa beans or whatever crop it is from a deforested area. So in conclusion, I want to say that GIS is key in ensuring compliance to EUDR. And RA works with its certificate holders to ensure proper traceability and lack of encroachment into protected areas. The knowledge in GIS and the use of it is very crucial, not only for cocoa farming, but for the modern day farmer and other stakeholders in the agricultural supply chain in space. It is very important that we we embrace GIS. We learn, we get to know more about it. We have to invest in tools, its tools, to be able to help us, because the more you invest in better tools, the more accurate your data becomes, yeah, and the more you are also able to analyze, accurate analysis, of it. So it's very important that all stakeholders look at this and see how we invest, how we support, and how we embrace GIS in modern day agriculture, and the need for all stakeholders to collaborate together. I have always maintained that it's a chain, right? And everybody has a role to play, but we need to all collaborate and not to work in silos, so that together we can move modern agriculture, the farmer, and our work in the space forward. Thank you very much, and I look forward to questions.
Thank you, Leslie, for making us know how GIS technology is enhancing compliance and also certification as a whole, the cash crops that you actually work with. At this moment, I'll open for questions. I've been alerted to allow anyone who wants to ask a question to speak, unmute and speak, so that Leslie can address. Right. So before anybody comes, let me ask mine first. Looking at one of the presentations, I realized some of the locations were within mining areas. There could also be the issue of, at the point of mapping, the mining wasn't happening. So it happened after the mapping was done. We get a lot of these as part of a non-conformity in our line of work. So I want to find out, when that happens, what does, since you work closely with an independent or a third party auditing firms, what is the right thing to do from there? Because at the time of mapping, there wasn't any galamsey activity over there. Secondly is on the forest belt demarcations. We've had a number of non-compliance with a number of our farms that they are falling in forest areas. But we are aware that there has been a redemarcation on ground, even though the forest belt base map that we use is the one for 2010, very outdated. So in that regard, like I cite one community called Ajumai in Sanrenso area there, where the whole community sits in the forest, and the redemarcation has been done, so you could see that it has been moved further. So I want to know how Harry addressed these two issues.
Thank you so much, Evans. Yeah, so maybe I'll start with the last one. So with the last one, yes, I agree. And we have also had cases like that. We have had a lot of some stakeholders who have come to us on that. Yeah, so as soon as the demarcation is done, it behoves on us as a nation that it is gazetted. Yeah. If it is not gazetted, then anytime you take any forest area, you will see it. That is a forest. So until it's gazetted, then it becomes very difficult for us to say that it is not a forest. So we look forward to it being gazetted. As soon as it's gazetted, then we wouldn't have issues with that. Then with the first one, I think you asked about when they were mapping, or it wasn't a galamsey area, but then it has. Yeah, but you see, unfortunately, after anytime after your certification, then we send your due diligence statement to EU. Anybody at any time is able to look at it and want to find out where it's located. And at that particular point in time, it will be located in the mining area. Yeah, so you need to update. I know how difficult it is. I agree with you, Evans, on how difficult it is. But as much as possible, you need to update it, because Rainforest Alliance, we do not source from deforested areas, and we don't also want to create the impression that we have bloated our estimates. Yeah, because that impression it will create. It creates the impression that you have bloated your estimates and you want to source non-certified things, and that will touch on traceability, right? Yeah. So yeah, I appreciate how difficult it is, but unfortunately, we have to make sure that we update our data as much as possible so that we don't have that issues.
Okay. Is there any hand up? All right. If that is the case, we will move on. But in case any question comes up, Leslie, we can roll you in at any point.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation. We are really honored to have you on the call. We are aware of what you had to go through to come up with this for us. We really appreciate Team Accu, really appreciate that. Thank you. Our next presentation is on GIS applications, or GIS and its applications, what GIS seeks to do or seeks to address the application of GIS in its entirety. With that, we have a resource person well-versed in the industry over a decade, but has really traveled far and wide as far as GIS is concerned. He's an experienced senior geospatial solution expert who has demonstrated a history of geospatial solutions and implemented it in a number of countries. He has a lot of skills in translating customer needs, business goals, and requirements to workable and state-of-the-art long-term solutions with huge ROI. His expertise spans across the web and an enterprise geospatial technology, spatial data management, spatial analysis, development of ODKs, and other spatial data collection tools, and location-based services. That includes open source as well. His proficiency in geographic information system, data management, and spatial analysis has successfully led cross-functional teams in the delivery of various geospatial solutions in the electric utility, agriculture, telecom, built environment, and local government industries. He holds a postgraduate degree in management information system from the Coventry University, UK, a Bachelor of Science degree in geomatic engineering from Keele University, and a number of certifications. Ladies and gentlemen, our resource person to speak to us on GIS applications is none other than Richmond Chebafo, and he is also the technical director for AccuGeospatial. Richmond, over.
All right, thank you very much, Evans, and welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and then also good evening to cherished listeners and participants on this special broadcast on our GIS Day celebration with a team empowering Ghana's green economy through the application of GIS. Thank you once again. Right. As you rightly said, I'm Richmond Chebafo, and I work with AccuGeospatial. A lot of the things he said are actually on paper. But I must say that when it comes to the technology, when it comes to the industry, we are just a part of it, and we seek to do our best and provide the necessary quota to make sure that the industry actually realizes all the expected goals. Most especially, to begin with my presentation, I'm here for a simple thing, basically to tell you the application of GIS and then also how to get started. It's a simple task, and I believe we'll just kick started. Right, so just indulge me to share my screen. Then we can get started. All right, I believe my screen is in view. Right. So application of GIS or the use of GIS related tools to actually realize the goal of Ghana's green economy. GIS is not the only tool you can use to realize a green economy or to contribute to the green economy. However, it's a vehicle in achieving that particular objective. So here this morning or this afternoon, even depending on where you are joining us from, we'll be looking at my other presenters, the MC and the other colleagues have mentioned GIS. What exactly is GIS? It is a technology? Is it a tool? Is it a workflow? Or is it just an acronym or an abbreviation? Right. So we look at GIS and look at application and how to get started. Right. Now, GIS, as the name implies, it's basically an abbreviation, which is GIS, and it stands for Geographic Information System. There are various schools of thoughts when it comes to the definition of GIS, but here today, we are going to be looking at three of them. And also map all sort of data and then create insight from that data to help make decisions. Now, the other school of thoughts also indicates that GIS connects data to a map, integrating location data. That is where things are, with all types of descriptive information, which we term as the attribute information or the metadata. That is information about the information you have collected, right? And this information is basically what things are like, right? And it provides the foundation for mapping and analyzing the data, and also brings to insight the science and almost every kind of activity within a particular space, whether an industry, whether a sector. The third school of thought also says GIS helps to understand patterns, relationships, and then also helps us to understand our geographic context, right? But as we can all see, it's the underlying factor GIS helps us to improve communication, that is trying to engage our spatial data and then also collaborate with the data. And then also helps with work efficiency and then management. And most of all, to help us to make well-informed decisions. Right. So basically, these are some of the definitions that we can think of. Right. So let's look at what GIS can be used for. So we said that GIS provides some sort of connection to communicate your spatial ideas, bring the context in your GIS or geographic information. Here, it provides an open platform for collaboration, which is key, because without communicating your data, communicating the insight into the data, it's easy to become GIS. All right, and then also our innovations. Now, GIS cut across these application of GIS or geospatial technology cut across these industries. So we have startups of all forms using GIS. We have schools using GIS. We have government and non-governmental organizations using GIS. We have citizens. We'll be looking at some of the application areas using GIS. We have utility companies. We have the telcos. We have businesses also using GIS. Now, all these are made, all the objectives of these sectors or industries are realized and communicated using the power of GIS, right? Basically, leveraging your data that is shared amongst the various business units within the organization, right? So we can look at managing natural resource. So in the management of natural resource, for instance, my other presenter indicated that you can use GIS for agric. So here we are looking at precision agriculture. So you can map the location of your farms. You can look at the location and also trace the produce that are coming from the farms through the application of GIS. We also have marine protection planning. So you can actually plan the marine environment, and you can even chart the seabeds and the river beds of all the various water bodies using the power of GIS. We can also look at small-scale mining, allocation of mining lease, where mining ought to be conducted, where mining ought not to be conducted. We looked at protected areas. We looked at forest areas. We looked at river bodies. So with the power of GIS, you can actually delineate areas where these mining activities ought to, or mining operation ought to be taken or not. We can look at planting frequency, analyzing the frequency of a particular plant or a particular produce. We can look at agricultural modeling. We can look at forest management. We can look at ocean modeling. So all these areas can, you can apply geospatial technology in these areas when it comes to natural resource. Another application area is environmental monitoring and assessment. Right, so GIS can be used to monitor air quality. Noise modeling is also another key area. The amount of, or the distribution of even a particular gas. It can be a greenhouse gas, it can be oxygen, it can be forest carbon reserves within the forest areas. We can look at the areas like the sea level, the rise in sea levels. Recently we had in Ghana, we had issues of the river, the shores or the river shores actually exceeding or overflowing 8 bands, and there was a need for sea defense to be constructed and all that. With the power of GIS, you can actually look at the rate of movement of these shores and then be able to predict and then provide the necessary remediation solution using GIS. Pollution modeling, groundwater changes. These are all application areas where GIS can be employed or geospatial technology can be employed. We looked at developing energy resources, and here there are a lot of them, especially when it comes to those of us in Africa where we experience 360 days of sun. So we can look at harnessing solar and wind energy, and you can use GIS to predict where these solar farms can be placed, where wind turbines can be constructed, to be able to harness our natural resource to produce energy, to augment what we currently have, be it an energy mix or the hydro. We can look at reservoir modeling of all forms. We can look at geological interpretation, offshore production, when it comes to oil and other natural resources within the offshore space, right? We can also look at managing land information, and here is one of major issues when it comes to acquisition of land, especially in our sub-region. So we can look at land-based mapping, mapping the various lands, looking at the various levels of land ownership. We recently had an opportunity to have a national address system, and that was made the realization was made using application of GIS or geospatial technology. Property appraisals, tax assessments, if you want to collect taxes, be it property taxes, be it taxes that can be, or revenue that can be accrued from sighting of these signposts you see all around in town. You can use GIS to actually give you an idea of how much need to be collected, how many of these property that are out there how many of these signages that are out there so that you can harness the power of GIS to be able to rake in revenue and also improve your return on whatever investment you put into that technology. Parcel administration, we've talked about that. We also looked at property management of all forms. So businesses like the banks or the insurance companies, they want to know which buildings or which properties that they can insure, or even if they have insured them, where are the locations of these properties? How can you even value these properties based on location of where these properties are sited? It's all made possible by the application of GIS. Right. We looked at urban and regional planning. So we are talking about zoning, land use, creating of land use maps, urban designs, redevelopment, city modeling. Now, the city of Accra has developed over the years. If you looked at even since independence. So there is a need for us to do what we call spatial planning, city remodeling, to suit what is prevailing currently. So in terms of traffic management, in terms of commuting, managing commuting or commuters from and within the various business districts of a city. So we can look at new planning or new town planning, so redevelopment. These are all made possible using the application of GIS. Transportation, I've spoken about it briefly. So we can look at real transport. We can look at vehicular transport, traffic modeling, routing, alternate routing. We can also look at the airspace, where you use GIS to manage air traffic, to even manage the tarmacs where these aircrafts land, right? So all these are areas of application of GIS. We can look at vessels, ship, tracking of ship or vessels. These are all made possible using application of GIS. Of course, almighty utility and then the telco space. So here we can look at managing the various utility assets, be it the network. So for instance, here we want to come home a utility company like Ghana Water or the electricity company of Ghana. All their assets, so their meters, their lines can all be mapped, and then also help them collect revenue, because if you know where your assets are, if you know where your customers are, then you'll be advantaged in terms of revenue mobilization and collection. So we can also look at smart metering, where you do not actually have to attend physically to the meter, by just developing a GIS or geospatial application to help you do that. We looked at encroachment, vegetation encroachment, where most of the utilities assets, like for instance, Ghana Grid Company, where you have a lot of the grid lines being tampered with as a result of encroachment. People are farming around these grid lines, and then during the harmattan, they burn their farms in order to get foliage. So in the course of that activity, these assets belonging to the utility companies are also affected. With the power of GIS, you can actually stimulate and put these assets as a way of spatial data on a map, be able to tell which areas are your assets located. And then you can also look at the conditions of this asset using GIS. Right. Building and campus management. These are also space management, transition station designs, looking at proposed buildings, building monitoring, high-rise building monitorings are all made possible by the application of GIS. Right. Business analytics. That is one of the key areas where application of GIS is key. So here we are looking at a typical example. If you are a company that is interested in managing internet asset like fiber cables, which you call the FTTH, right? So you need to be able to know where these assets are, which areas you are serving these customers, which customers truly need these applications in terms of the services that we are providing, which of your proposed customers do not need them, so that you do not just put in investment and do not get return. Real estate company, land valuation, insurance are some of these areas where GIS can be applied, right? The next thing is understanding human health. That is one area that GIS can be employed. We all know of the notable COVID-19 dashboard, that is the Johns Hopkins COVID-19 dashboard during the unfortunate pandemic, COVID-19, 2019, 2020 era, where we were plagued with that unfortunate epidemic. So we're able to actually identify cases, right? COVID-19 cases with the application of GIS. Ebola is one of such cases, right? So on the screen, we have response and then disease maps, okay? Using application of GIS, we're able to tell which areas are badly hit, which areas are the endemic areas. And we can also look at the spread of a particular disease. For instance, COVID-19 or Ebola cases, right? So you can create heat maps, you can create predictive maps to be able to predict the rate of spread of this disease and be able to curb them with the application of GIS. Even malnutrition. So you can map areas or locations where there is malnutrition and then be able to provide a solution to mitigate that as well. Child protection and child maltreatment. You can also use the application of GIS or geospatial technology to be able to provide remediation solution. That public safety, location, okay, and then also be able to marry these mitigation solutions. So, for instance, if there is fire, be able to tell the various locations of fire hydrant and vis-a-vis the locations of these fire tender or fire stations, be able to tell that in case of fire, how early can you or can the fire location to be able to we have been as an provider with security services to be able to assist fight crime even now. Right. So these are some of the applications areas. So we have preparing for and responding to disaster. So typical example here is the Akosombo dam spillage, the devastation that it caused. A lot of GIS applications were used to be able to tell areas that were inundated with the floods, areas that you would need those affected or victims to be evacuated to, and then also plan resettlement for the affected, right? If you go to the European countries, we have issues like typhoons and then also hurricanes that can easily be mapped using GIS and also forecast these unfortunate events, be able to mitigate them, provide the various mitigating solution to these events or catastrophe. So we also have cartography. A lot of us who have done some level of map, we align with this strange word cartography, where you create paper maps, where you create maps and then share the maps to communicate an event or to communicate and also collaborate with people. So cartography is one of the application areas where geospatial technology or GIS can be applied. And we can have national mapping, which my colleague Marian spoke about. We can have topographic mapping. We can have aeronautical mapping, right? We can also have conservation, right, which we spoke about. All these are made possible using the application of GIS. And now we have what you call storytelling with GIS. So our friends in the media space, the journalists, can also tell success stories using GIS. And a lot of our students that we are actually engaging them on a spatial thinking campaign, tell stories using GIS or the application of GIS. Of course, GIS is impossible without data. So one of the application area for this technology is the open data and citizen engagement. So when you collect the data, where does the data go? You need to make sure citizens are engaging with the technology, right? So these are some of the application areas you can think of. Now, how do we get started? Getting started for us as Esri partners, we use a platform which we call the AccuGIS platform. Now, AccuGIS platform basically is a system and a technology that is used for mapping and then creating geographic information products in your geospatial data. So there's a simple architecture. We have a desktop, we have the mobile, we have the web, and then also have the online, right? So basically the system helps you to collect data, bring in data, manage those who are collecting the data and those who use the data, which you call your GIS workforce. All right, so the system manages these individuals, providing the various security level, providing the various platforms to share the data and make insight into the data. What can you do with the platform? First of all, data. You need to work with your data, your institution data. So this data forms the fundamentals for your GIS or geospatial technology. So your data is key. The next thing is to make maps out of your data. And then the third option is to look at analyzing your data, creating analytics in your data, and then also information product from your data. Then after that is done, you share your data, collaborate with your data within your business units, right? So these are some of ways by which GIS can be applied. And to get started, simply to get onto our platform and use one of Esri's technology or geospatial technology. In this case, you can look at the AccuGIS platform. And these are some of the key customers that we have satisfied over the years with the application of our technology, specifically the geospatial technology. Thank you very much for your time. And if there are questions, we can pick them at this juncture. Over to you, Evans.
Thank you so much, Richmond Cheba, for that insightful presentation. Very, very, very detailed. So we have opened the floor for questions, especially those on the call. You can actually raise your hand, then you'll be allowed to speak. All right, so before that, if there are not any, I have two questions from Facebook for you, Richmond.
Right.
One, considering that GIS is heavily reliant on technology or devices, how accurate and reliable is it in the field of mapping and land parcel demarcation? That's the first question. Would you like to attend it, or I should bring the second one too?
Please go ahead with the second one.
So the second one too is, it looks like GIS entails a lot of technical knowledge, know-how. How easily can an individual without any prior GIS knowledge be rolled onto a GIS workflow? Those are the two powerful questions from Facebook. Thank you, those on Facebook watching us. We really appreciate you. Over.
Okay. Thank you very much, Evans, and then also those who asked the questions. I'm not sure of their names, but the first one has to do with accuracy of mapping, and I understand the person said GIS, but actually mapping of your spatial data, right? So accuracy it's project specific, and in most cases we say accuracy is relative. So GIS, depending on the data you are the project you are embarking on, and then also the requirement of the project. Okay. So once you have the requirement of the project, and one of the requirements may be accuracy at all, most of the time, or accuracy or precision of your spatial data. So the accuracy or precision of your spatial data, all right, informs you on the hardware. So GIS also employs the use of hardware or GPS. Okay, and then in our space, we also say GNSS for your spatial data collection. So the accuracy of your spatial data informs the kind of hardware that you would employ in the use of the data collection or in the process of the data collection. So that, for instance, if I require an accuracy of about 1 millimeter, okay, plus 1 part per million for my parcel data, I cannot use a simple consumer tablet to do such data collection. I need to use a high-end precision GPS or GNSS device to do that, right? So these are some of the considerations you can have. And then in some cases, even the software that is being used to collect the data can also, your accuracy can inform that. Your accuracy can inform the kind of software to use. So first of all, your hardware, and then your software. And not forgetting the personnel doing the data collection. Because you can have all these T's crossed, but if the personnel collecting the data is not knowledgeable, you can also miss your entity of accuracy. I hope I have attempted answering that question. Now, the second one is acquiring knowledge. Now, GIS knowledge acquisition is all over. There are a lot of institutions that organize GIS training. And for us as Accu, you don't need to be a GIS professional to be enrolled on a training program. No. I can testify that we have even trained accountants. We have trained SS leavers, not to downplay SS leavers knowledge, but to say that you need just knowledge in the use of, or to be IT savvy, all right? If you can operate a simple, let's say, computer, you can operate a simple smart device, you should be able to enroll on our GIS program to be trained, to build knowledge from that end. And GIS entails a lot. It's not just collecting data and putting the data on the map. There is also aspect like remote sensing. There is an aspect like augmented reality. There is an aspect like machine learning and programming. These are all, or what you call geoprogramming. These are all aspects of the GIS as a bigger umbrella. There's a lot you can do under that umbrella. So you can start from somewhere. You can start from somewhere. When you come to Accu, we can help you kickstart acquiring knowledge in GIS. Thank you.
Thank you, Richmond Cheba, for that advert. Right there. Okay.
It's inevitable.
Thank you.
All right.
I think we have a few minutes before we jump onto the next chapter of this event.
I think there is a hand.
Okay, there is. Okay. Okay. So, Miss Na.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, I want to find out, can I use GIS for asset management? And what kind of information would I be getting if I'm to use it? Like, let's say I'm to invest in inventory subscription. What kind of information would GIS give me if I'm to use that in my business or my...
Could you speak up, please? I can hardly hear.
Ms. Na is saying GIS for asset management, and what information would she be required to collect? Ms. Na, please, is that correct?
Yes, please.
Right, so asset management and what kind of information to collect?
All right, thank you very much, Na and then Evans. Right, so I will start off by saying you first need to know the kind of assets. Now, there are various assets. There are moving assets, and then there are stationary assets or landed assets. So they're depending on the kind of assets that you require to collect information or your spatial information on, okay, would inform you even the strategy to use for the data collection. Now, the kind of data collection or information you would require to collect on the asset. So specifically speaking to landed asset like houses. Okay, so if you are a real estate or a realtor and then you want to put your business on the map, create an information product for your customers, right? You can collect the spatial location, that is the X and Y for all your landed assets. We can look at the type of building. Okay, is it a story building? Is it a single structure? You can look at facilities on board that building. Does the building come with, let's say, a playing ground in case you are targeting a family to come in as a client to purchase your property? Does the facility come with basic utility like water, electricity? So these are all information about the landed assets, aside the location, which is the X and Y, that is paramount to display your data on a map. All right, so and those other information is what we refer to as the attribute information. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Richmond. There's someone who is interested in training. You can always reach out to us. We actually organize quarterly trainings. So, okay, correct. So you have shared your name, your contact, and then your email. I'm sure you'll be contacted. Thank you. Aprega, Yosen Daniel. Right. Any more questions or any hand for us to allow? All right. So there's one question I would like to find out before we remove. In line with Richmond's presentation, I think this one is going to Leslie. Richmond spoke about accuracy of mapping, and then even the personnel doing the data collection could also affect the accuracy of that particular data being collected. We've had instances where maybe a third party maps farms, and then the same farm being mapped by a different technology is being mapped by the third party auditing firm. And then we have discrepancies and difference. What we know from our end is probably the parameters that was used to set up that particular platform may be different from the other. So most of the times, the auditors actually raise questions and then a lot of objections whenever they find out that their acreage they are getting from their work that they are doing is different from that has been done for the other. I don't know whether you've come across such a scenario before, and going forward, how do we intend to solve it? Ms. List.
Thank you very much, Evans. Yeah, I have not met on acreage, but then I have seen where there are discrepancies in the GPS coordinates. Where, yeah, that I have seen. So like I was saying, depending on the tool you are using, depending on where you pick the location, depending on how you picked it, can bring these discrepancies. And so the need for training, right? The need for this staff to be trained, or if you are bringing in someone else to do the mapping for you or to pick the coordinate for you, the need for that person to be trained. And our Red Forest Alliance, we have actually provided a guide to help you on how to pick it. So for example, pick the GPS points at the center of your farm, you know, make sure that there's no shade. So there's a guide, right, to be able to guide you. But the difference, if you did it well, the difference should not be much. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. for that. We are so grateful. Any more questions? Please, do we have questions from Facebook? Okay. Right. So we will be moving straight to our next section of this event, where as part of our
There's a hand up. Sorry,
Yes,
Evans.
yes.
I
Sorry.
can see a hand up.
Darlene, please go ahead. You can unmute and go ahead. Mention who you are directing the question to, and then please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, Madeline, and the question goes to Richmond. And my question is that talking about GIS and also about AccuGeospatial, other institutions or a lot of people use GIS for mapping and other stuff. So I want to know that how accurate is AccuGeospatial, or how reliable is Accu? And also when Miss Leslie was also talking, she made mention of farmers that their farms are the forest areas. And if your farm is at the forest zone, it means you are not certified. You will be considered not a certified farmer, but a conventional. So I want to also ask that, can an individual come to Accu for, let me say a farmer, can a farmer comes to you if you want to set up a farm, aside an institution coming to Accu for their information on their plot of land or whatever information they need, can an individual also comes to Accu for such? Thank you.
Thank you, Magdalene. Please, Richmond, pick up before Leslie also come.
All right. Thank you, Madeline. Do I answer the two questions or just the first one?
I think one is for Leslie. Or
okay, so that's
okay.
fine. So it was a mix. The latter question was a mix. So I'll first take the question one. Yeah. Please go ahead, Madeline.
Please, Richmond, I'm done. I'm waiting for the answer.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So you first question, if I understand you mentioned how reliable is AccuGeospatial in terms of our service delivery, right?
Yes, please.
And then secondly, which was in two parts, can an individual farmer come to us for our service, right?
Yeah, whether a farmer or any individual who wants Accu services.
Right. Thank you. So for reliability of Accu, now AccuGeospatial, as the name implies, it's from a word to two words, accurate and geospatial. So in terms of reliability and accuracy, we are top notch in our service delivery. We have a lot of testimonies out there. Most of our data we collect, we ensure that before even the data is given to the beneficiary or the client, we go through rigorous data verification and then quality assurance and quality checks. We have systems to do that. So we do system at the back end, and then we also do physical monitoring. So we go to the field to ascertain and then also ensure that the truth is what exactly we have in our database. So reliability, it's one of our hallmarks. We are highly reliable. You can count on us. The testimony, as I said, is out there. Then yes, an individual or a farmer can just walk in, and then we can sit down with you. We can look at your needs. We assess your needs and provide you with a unique service. It doesn't have to be the mainstream service. So for instance, if you are mapping, you are looking at farm mapping, but ultimately you want to be able to create some sort of an application or an information product, we will sit down with you and then we assess your specific individual need and provide you with a tailor-made service. So that is what we do at Accu. And then we'll make sure that there is always smile on the faces of our clients. Otherwise, we don't get referrals. Thank you very much. If I have attempted answering your question.
Thank
Yes,
you, Richmond. Magdalene, do you want to hear from Leslie on if a farmer defaults in any of this, the person is not going to get certified?
yes, please.
Okay. Over, Leslie, if there are any comments.
Yeah, Magdalene, thank you. Yes, if we don't, as Rainforest Alliance, we do not source our beans from protected areas. The implication is that you have deforested and you are producing cocoa, and we don't want to encourage deforestation. Yeah, so if your farm, it is confirmed, yeah, so that is why usually after
Certified.
we see it. Yes, no. Even when we see it, the auditors will go on grounds. They'll go there to go and check, right, whether indeed it's in the forest. And if we verify that it is, then unfortunately we cannot certify you, because it means is that you are degrading the forest to be able to produce your cocoa, and that we don't want to encourage.
So, Miss Leslie, what happened to that farmer? Because the farmer may be ignorant of what you are saying. It is until the farm is mapped that they will realize that the farm is closer to a forest zone or whatsoever. And most of them like to farm closer to the forest because they think it's fertile or it's their land, their forefathers left it for them or whatsoever. And then came in that you want a certified beans and the farmer is closer to the forest zone, so his cocoa is not certified. What happened to that farmer? Because I was working with Cargill and we have a lot of farmers going through that, especially when it's time for premium, and it's really challenging. So what happened to those farmers? Because they already have their farms.
I really appreciate and understand what I can identify really with what you're saying. So I think you are mentioning those in and those closer. If you are close, it's not a problem. If you are close, what we do is that they will do a management plan for you. They will train you, and then they'll be able to tell you that you are not supposed to do this, you are supposed to do that. We will come and check. We will liaise with Forestry Commission. That is if you are not in, if you are close. But if you are in the forest, right, and then there's nothing to show, there's no gazetted, and you are in the forest, unfortunately, we are not able to source it. But then if you are close, then that means there's a risk, right? There's a risk of you getting inside. And that's one, we have a management plan for you, and we have to draft it, train you, go through it, and then we monitor and make sure that you comply with it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Magdalene and Leslie. I'm happy there's a solution for this farmer. Sometimes it's the way the complaints come, it's a bit, worrying. So we're happy that there's a plan to actually roll them on the better practices for them to be certified by Rainforest. Michael Kunde, your hand is up. Please, over.
Okay, so thank you very much. Regarding the AI component of your system, I want to know how well it will work with real-time data and then sensors, as in like a farmer having sensors in his farm to collect real-time data, like regular data, to be analyzed and then give him feedback. I want to know how your system works with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. This goes to Richmond. Richmond, over.
All right, thank you, Michael and Evans. Right, so to begin with, the GIS, I'm going to speak in general, not just our system. The geospatial technology or GIS systems or technology work with all kind of data set. So sensors, real-time sensors. So if you look at the slide I presented on some of the application areas where you had real-time sensor feed coming into the GIS system, for instance, vessel tracking. So there are GPS devices in the vessels, and they are sending out or emitting these data through the GIS system. That is how come the vessels could be seen on a dashboard, and then you create what you call heat maps or predictive maps to be able to tell the concentration of vessels at a particular port. You can even do space allotments using GIS. So these data sets are coming from sensors. You don't have physical human beings going to map them on the sea, right? Now, real-time data, every data that is collected within our system is real-time or near real-time. Let me explain. Once you're collecting data on farms, our system affords you to collect data real-time if you have internet on the device which is used for the data collection. So if you have a GPS or a handheld device, we empower or we enable the devices with internet using data SIMs. Okay, so that when the data is captured in real time, the data is sent to the server at the back office, and it comes into the GIS system. Now, if there is no internet connectivity, the Esri technology affords you to have what you call near real time or offline. So you collect the data in an offline mode. Immediately, you move into a network connectivity. The data syncs automatically. Or we configure the system in such a way that you have a notification that you have pending maps to sync. Then you click a button and then it syncs. So all GIS systems, I believe, are able to take in data from sensors or real-time data. This day, you cannot afford not to do that, right? Thank you very much. And then over, Evans.
Thank you, Richmond, for that response. Do we have any other question? If not, we'll move straight to our next session. As part of our corporate social responsibility, we actually train students from second cycle institutions, especially those who have well-equipped internet facilities in their school, on how GIS can be used to address a number of real-world problems. So on this call, we have students from AVES Academy based in Tema. Specifically, these students are in grade 10. They are going to make a presentation on 2 topics. First is on presentation on historical election data. They want to showcase how they are actually going to help display election information to the public. And then also, you're also going to talk about tourism in Ghana using GIS. So if the team at AVES are ready, the floor is open for your presentation. Over.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Camille.
David, I'm not Camille, I'm here. But
Okay.
today,
I'm sorry, if Camille is a male name. Sorry.
No.
It's a female. Okay. Go ahead.
So today, we, the students of ACE Academy, will be presenting to you our story map on our application, Easy Tour, which would hopefully be your guide's unforgettable journeys. So I am here, and I'll be presenting on to you. So a little bit about us. So Easy Tour is a software application that is dedicated to providing seamless and enriching travel experiences for tourists in Ghana. So the aim of Easy Tour is to easily aid tourists to efficiently and easily find tourist attractions for them to visit in Ghana. So Easy Tour provides users with an intuitive platform which will help them explore the country's most iconic landmarks and hopefully will offer them a deeper understanding of Ghana's vibrant culture and history. So below this, we have a map of all the tourist sites that are going to be covered by Easy Tour. And you may be wondering, why are there different colors of the tourist sites? So here we have a legend. And for the legend, we have green, which is for the recreational tourist sites, yellow, which is for the cultural tourist sites, and red for the historical tourist sites. And also, ironically, these are the colors of the Ghana flag. So I'll be passing this one to my colleague Fifi, who will take you further on the dashboard of the group, please.
Good morning, everybody. So I'll be taking you through Easy Tours dashboards, which is basically another way to aid tourists in making decisions when they want to travel around Ghana and discover more about our country. So this is our dashboard. So out of the 125 tourist sites that are showed on our platform, you can see that we have pie charts and descriptions, and basically the tourist sites are shown on your screen at the moment. You can see the distribution of the recreational, cultural, and historical tourist sites as shown on a particular area, which is what you are zoomed in on right now. You can also search for tourist sites that are displayed here. So for example, if I want to search up the see the National Park, which is a recreational site, it's will display it for you. You can click on it and it will show you where it is on the map. So to give you a brief description about the map. So Easy Tour doesn't just show you the options between whether it's recreational, historical, or cultural. It can also show the users hotels and other accommodations for before or after they make their stop. So here on this second dashboard we've made, we can see we have 10 examples for you here, which is Kakum National Park, the Marshall Palace, Osu Castle, and such. There's a radius around each tourist site, which is the green circle is for 10 kilometers, yellow 20 kilometers, and red for 30 kilometers, which would rather be a long drive. Ironically, this is also the colors of the Ghana flag. Unfortunately, we do not have black. Then the orange symbols are the hotels and accommodations around the tourist sites. So from the dashboard that we have for you today, we can tell you that each of the examples we've shown you today has at least one hotel within a 30-kilometer radius, except for Mole National Park, which has accommodations on site. Next, I'll be passing it on to my colleague, again, to take you through the tourist attraction sites covered by our application.
Okay. Hello everyone once again. So first of all, one of the 10 major tourist sites covered by Easy Tour is Ebri Botanical Gardens. So Ebri Botanical Gardens is one of Ghana's most beautifully and historically significant parks, and is located about 30 kilometers north of Accra in the eastern region. So Ebri Botanical Garden is a very large and huge garden which has lots of exotic plants and fauna in Ghana. And fun fact, it was established in 1980 by the British colonial administration, and their goal was to create a space for the research and cultivation of tropical plants. So, for example, cocoa, as we all know, Ghana exports, rubber, and then various timber species. So ever since then, in a few centuries ago, the botanical gardens have become a symbol of Ghana's commitment to environmental conservation and botanical research. And then here is a button where you can click on to send you to the website for the Ebi Botanical Gardens so that you'll be able to learn more on it. So this is the link this is the website of the Ebi Botanical Gardens. So I'll also be passing it on to my colleague Camille.
Okay, so as my colleagues already elaborated on, we are going to be taking you through 10 tourist sites that are up easy tour covers. And has already taken us through the Ebi Botanical Gardens. So I'll be taking you through the rest. So for Cape Coast Castle, it's one historical site. As we know, the castles were the places where slaves were kept during the colonialist times in Ghana or then the Gold Coast. So basically, it's located on the Atlantic coast in the central region, and it is about 160 kilometers west of Accra. That site is a very iconic landmark. Why? Because it helps us to learn more about the transatlantic slave trade. It was built by the Swedes in 1653 and was also known as the Swedish Gold Coast Fort. So as already said, the button below gives us a link to a site that tells us more about the history and about the things we are supposed to look forward to when going to the Cape Coast Castle. The same goes for Elmina Castle. It's also one of the most historically significant in Ghana, and it's one of the largest slave castles in Ghana here. It's about 13 kilometers from Cape Coast, and it was built in 1482 by the Portuguese. So for the Adan Beach, Adan Beach is a beautiful coastal destination, and it's located in the Adanfo area. So around the Adan Beach, you can find the Volta River and the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, so these are a few images of the Adan Beach, also known as the Paradise in Ghana. Okay, so we also have the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, we have the Kakum National Park, and the Lee Waterfalls, Lake Volta, Mbole National Park, Insule Zoo, the National Museum of Ghana. And then now I'm passing it on to my colleague Abdullah to take us through the map tour.
All right, so I'll be taking you through our map tour, which basically explores some of the most exciting and unique tourist destinations through this interactive interface, and it just highlights some of the key travel spots within Ghana, and it provides visual journey across regions filled with cultural and historical attractions. Each location is paired with photos, as you can all see. These are the locations that Camille mentioned. And so let's take an example first. And the Mansha Palace, let's take that. And it's basically the official residence for the Ashanti King. As you can see, it's located yeah, and it's basically located in Kumasi, and it shows the rich history and heritage of the Ashanti Kingdom. So And so
There are little technical difficulties. So please hold on while we sort this out.
We are on hold, don't worry.
so as I was saying about the Mansha Palace, which is located in Kumasi, and if you click on the number 3, it takes us to a description of the place automatically, and it's the same for all of them. If we scroll down, you can see the Osu Castle and the description for it and a provided image. And so whether you're planning a trip or simply curious about landmarks in Ghana, our map tool will inspire your next adventure with a blend of vibrant destinations and rich experiences. So here are all the other locations with their image and description. So moving on, these were all the places where we took our data from. AccuGeospatial, Wikipedia, Esri, and then Ghana Ministry of Tourism. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team, for that insightful presentation. I'm sure the audience are actually engaged on a number of these tourist sites if they have actually not been there. You have actually provided some information. There was something I saw. Was it a slider showing before and after on one of I think the one you mentioned is the Paradise of Africa also, or Ghana.
It was just a slider showing 2 images of like from the sea view and from the shore view.
Right. That was so beautiful. Thank you for that presentation. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. So the elections, the Ghana election dashboard, which will be presented on next, it's not we are not able to access it at the moment. So, like on our screen, so it's going to be shared by Emmanuel. So here we have information. We have presidential information on the presidential elections for a few years. So here, currently being shown the presidential election results in 2016. So here we have this basically shows the vote percentage for MPP and NDC, which are the major political parties in Ghana. And as you can see on the map, there are the places in blue are the places won by the MPP, where the winning party is MPP, and the constituencies where the winning party was MPP, and then the green is the constituencies where the winning party was NDC. So in the top right, on the top left, we have information on each of the constituencies. So you can, if you want to quickly find a constituency, you can easily search for the constituency. So for example, we search for Imam. assignment, and then you can click on it, and then it will zoom in on the map to that particular constituency. And on the table below, it will show you the number of voters for both NDC and NPP on the graph. And so for NDC, it was for 52,400 voters, and then for the NPP was 36,630 voters. And on the left, as you can see, NDC obviously won, so it shows as the win percentage. And then on the top right, you can see the constituency details. So, okay, say a name, the district, the region, the number of votes for both of the parties, the vote percentage, the winning party, and the election year. So that is what we have for 2016. Okay, now we can move on to 2012. 2020.
Okay. Is it coming up?
Yeah, I think it's loaded.
Okay.
For the 2012 presidential election results, and my colleague Fifi will be taking you through them.
Good morning, good afternoon again. So now we're going to be looking at 2012 presidential election results. For 2012, we can tell by the pie charts that the NDC won 2012's election. So as Yah said with the previous presidential election results displayed on the page, we can view the constituencies that were included in the voting. So, for example, if you use a search bar, and for example, if I search up Medina, and you can view the winning party for that particular constituency, which in this case was NDC. The data is the layout is essentially the same with different data as NDC won. Yeah, so the pie chart tells us NDC won 100% of the votes. The graph tells us that NDC won, but with a number of around 41,441 votes, and the NDC with 34,657. So this tells us the winning margin from NDC and NPP in 2012. So next we'll be talking about 2020's presidential election results. And now let Camille go through that.
Okay. So throughout our events, we've been using maps to see how we can solve problems. And this map analysis can be used to predict future elections. I'll be taking you through the 2020 presidential election results. And as we can see from the pie charts, NPP won by 50.55% and NDC by 49.45%, making NPP the ultimate winners. And as already said by my colleagues, the constituencies are mentioned at the left hand side, and we can see all the different constituencies here and by which margin or which percentage each party won by. So let's take Bolgatanga East, for example. We can see that NDC won there by 67.23%, making them the ultimate winners in that particular constituency. And by numbers, they won 12.4 thousand votes, and MPP won 5,184 votes. So this basically shows us that we can use maps to predict future elections by taking data from past elections and then using them to predict future elections. Thank you.
Thank you. Camille and team, do you have an offer yet from any media house to actually collate their results and present it for them?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, I'll try and work with Richmond so that he gets you, and that's amazing. That's fantastic. To the audience, Rich, from your point of view, what could you say?
Right. Thank you very much. I was actually taken off by the insightful presentation, and to see our future geospatialists put this together is amazing. It's amazing. I mean, I couldn't wrap my head around the whole analytics, the dashboard thing, the indicators. I think it's a splendid work out there by the team, APES, and also kudos and compliment to the geomentors that helped them to make this happen. I think in all, it's mind-blowing to see that them, come up with a story map, a tall map specifically. And then I saw the various analytics that were in there aside the test and the media to complement the whole tall map thing. Now, to come to the election, the historical events for the elections, and then also show us how they could use it to predict future election, I think was wonderful. The figures there speak to exactly the reality on the ground. And then just by a glance, if you are somebody who is much more acquainted with most of the areas or the constituencies where these parties use, or these parties' strongholds are located, you could see that exactly what the picture it's showing out there. I think that, of course, once again, this is one of the classical application of geospatial technology, all right, for elections. I mean, it's used in the current, even in the current US election, it was actively used in there. In future elections, I believe that we would employ that to make it happen. And to answer the question of getting them a media house to work with, it's not a problem at all. Who work at it. Thank you, and kudos to the team, APES, and then the Agile mentors. Right, it's a good work. Over to you.
Right. Thank you again. I'm just giving a slot for one person to just comment if there is any, maybe from the audience. Just one slot. Okay. In that case, I would like to thank Team APES for such an insightful presentation. For that presentation, each of the students from APES would receive a 1-year AccuGIS for personal use license from AccuGeospatial. It's worth $100. So each of the students are going to get this license and to be able to work with it for the next 12 months. In addition to that, we would also find some for the tutors, the dual mentors who actually supported them. That is Michael Boy Kunde and then Jonathan Ayura. But we are so grateful for putting this together, always making the students available for our able facilitators, i.e. Mr. Martinson Yuenchi Smart and Emmanuel Yankroma Mensa, for always imparting the knowledge of GIS into them. Just to give a bit of history about our spatial thinking campaign, we've actually had spatial thinking campaign across about 5 or 6 schools. It started with Last Liberty American School, went straight to SOS in Tema. There was TIS on board. There's the Roman Ridge was also come on board, and then that of ACE. So newsflash, last year we had a competition, and then ACE was adjudged the winner for last year's event. Hopefully next year we are going to have another competition, and then we can see grade 10s, grade 9 using our technology and also being able to express themselves through it. So we thank you all, ACE, for that support you always give us, and then for that commitment. To the team, do we have anyone who has last words before we sign off? We are actually signing off on the event. I'm just giving a chance if there's any comment from anyone of the team before we sign off. Okay, so if there are none, we'll first thank God for such a wonderful event. And again, we thank Miss Leslie Ejapon for your time. In fact, I wasn't expecting to see you at this time. In fact, we are most grateful for your time. We're excited you are here. To the team, EUDR has been one of the latest news in the cash crops that are being sold in the EU market or in the cocoa sector, the cashew, and then even coffee. So we thought it wise that as part of it being one of the most hot cake information in the system, we would like to have somebody to speak to that. It was on a short time, but she was able to make it for us. Thank you so much, Ms. Leslie Ejapon, for that. In addition to that, thank you, Richmond. Thank you, Marianne. And thank you to all the team for making time to join us this year. We hope to see you next year in a bigger and a grand event where we talk about issues pertaining to GIS. We encourage the audience to continue getting in touch with us. The team can share their emails on the chat box. The audience can always reach us so that we can actually engage every now and then as far as GIS is concerned. This is AccuGeospatial, and this will be put together on this day, GIS Day, whilst we are also commemorating the 25 years of excellence for Esri. You can always reach us for any trainings, any geospatial related services. We are there for you. Thank you, and may God bless us all. Bye-bye.